This is not financial nor professional advice. This video is for entertainment only. Hello everyone. I thought this was one of the best summaries of the situation with Tesla at the current time that I've run across, and I wanted to present it to you and give some comments and some reactions to what they're saying, because I think they sum it up very well when they say Tesla is Apple-esque. And what they mean by that is it has characteristics like Apple stock. And I think the main thing that rings true with me is that it has a cult following. Apple, for years, especially in the 80s, I'm old enough to remember this, they had a cult following. And it was apparent that IBM PC computers were going to be the rage and were going to take over. But Apple kept hanging in there, largely because of Steve Jobs and his focus on imagery. But I think Tesla has a similar cult, and that cult ends up being people who are buying Teslas, and the cult is getting larger every day, and that's what's going to propel the stock forward. Let's see what they have to say. This interview is from CNBC's The Exchange business program.
Holder meeting. Investors keying on Elon Musk's admission its supply chain remains under pressure and its delays to Cybertruck, despite coming off a record quarter for vehicle deliveries. It also announced relocating headquarters from Silicon Valley to Texas. Shares are down about 1% right now, and our next guest remains bullish. In fact, after last night's event, he upped his price target to $940 from $768, saying Tesla's brand and ecosystem are actually Apple-esque. For more, let's welcome in our own Phil LeBeau with the analyst who made the call, Jed Dorsheimer, Global Head of Sustainability Research at Canaccord Genuity. Welcome to you both. So many places I could start here. Jed, I'll begin with you. Why, after last night, did you up your price target?
Yeah, so, a few things. If you look at our upgrade, which goes back, a little while here, we talk about the brand and being able to bring that into other parts of the energy ecosystem, which so far Tesla has not been all that successful in doing. That's the Apple-esque part of things. And that's kind of our, positive stance. So we got that from last night. We also got much higher deliveries and a positive mix shift, which we think is going to lead to healthier margins. And so I think you've got a little bit of buy on rumor, sell on news happening today. But as we go into the earnings report, we are expecting better than street expectations, which I think carries the stock higher.
Into earnings. All right. So, Phil, it is interesting to look at the delivery numbers, the sort of tantalizing prospects of all these new gigafactories and what they could deliver, but they're still bringing them fully online. I'm curious.
Yeah, they're bringing these online. They're not really fully. They're like a quarter operational, if that. Imagine when they get everything humming, and then they think about building more gigafactories in England and India. There's more fun to be had here.
How they can both produce more cars than ever at a time when their market share might be under pressure from more competition than ever, as it seems that the general interest with these big announcements from GM and Ford and all the rest of it, I just wonder if the tide is...
Worrying about the competition. I don't know how many times I've been told not to invest in a stock because the competition is coming. And one of the best examples I can give of that is Zoom. Okay, I was owning Zoom when it was like $50 and I made some money on it, but I never held it for as long as I should have because Microsoft was going to come up with a competing product and they were going to just drive Zoom into the ground. All I have to say to people who think they're going to drive Tesla in the ground when Tesla is about 5 years ahead of them all is yeah, sure.
It's turning towards the average person starting to think more seriously about EVs, not least because gasoline is so expensive right now.
Right. Well, look, Tesla's market share will come down. I mean, you're not going to stay at 63% forever. The question is, how much does it come down? And if you're a Tesla bull, you're looking at the prospects of them entering into new markets and having even greater success than they, possibly could imagine at this point. Cybertruck is a good example. Look, are they going to take over the pickup truck market? No. It is a lifestyle pickup truck, but there appears to be appetite, and lifestyle pickup trucks make up about 20 to 25% of the pickup market. So that's...
The other thing is, what I hear is the Cybertruck is going to be the cheapest Tesla vehicle. It's unbelievable. They're making that truck indestructible, and it is a different thing. I mean, people who want to be like their dad and buy a Rivian, this is more comfortable, or a Ford Lightning. Ford, yeah, they're comfortable, but I think Tesla can make that Cybertruck a lot cooler. I noticed there's talk of making it in different colors, and I think you'll see design changes that'll make it a bit more palatable to people. But it's going to be an indestructible truck.
One market that they have yet to enter into. They also believe that the Model Y could ultimately become the best-selling vehicle in the world. And for a point of reference, the best-selling vehicle in the world on an annual basis is the Toyota Corolla. So they believe that they can get there. If that happens, boy, there's a lot of profitable sales in their future. And remember, the Berlin Gigafactory coming online, that should help them immensely in Europe.
Yes. And so, Jed, let's talk about how much of your price target, again, it's now 940, is predicated on higher vehicle sales, and how much is predicated on this Apple ecosystem, which, to fully explain to everybody what you're talking about, is kind of this all-in-one energy ecosystem where they have, solar panels on your roof that generate energy that then can power your EV and all the rest of it. What's the relative importance of those two systems to Tesla's valuation?
She is pointing to a relevant thing, and she's an excellent interviewer, because their energy portion has to improve. I know I put solar panels on my house, and I couldn't get the battery because I didn't buy Tesla solar panels. So I couldn't get the battery. So it was kind of a pain. But my next plan is, when these solar panels wear out, I'm going to replace my roof with Tesla shingles, and then I'm going to buy the batteries, and then maybe I'll go off grid. I'm in Arizona. Hey, we could power the world with the sun.
Sure. So just to take a step back, let me clarify the Apple S. What I mean by that is, my first Apple product was an iPod. Today, my family owns 20 plus devices from Apple. And so they hooked me with that iPod, and they were able to sell me, really what locked it in was the iTunes, that then allowed an easier, a better experience, if you will, that allowed me to kind of buy more of those devices. And so if we look at Tesla and the early adoption, they have about 20% market share on the EV side of things globally, if you will. And I agree, their market share is likely to come down. The question is around timing. But will they be able to use that market share to pull in that brand, that understanding of people saying, hey, Tesla's about quality. They understand this, right, the energy shift better than anybody. So I want to put their solar panel on my house.
What he's saying is that people are going to want to put Tesla on their house. Put Tesla shingles, preferably Tesla panels, maybe. They're going to want to do it simply because they're loyal to Tesla. And that's so true. It's loyalty to the brand. But one thing they haven't mentioned is, Tesla's going to lose market share, but the market is going to grow much faster than, in other words, 10% of a billion is much more than 100% of a million.
House. And I would remind people that there is an aggressive marketing campaign going on by Tesla right now on that non-EV side of things. Mm-hmm. It's still relatively low and from a low base. And we're about 2x the street as we look out a couple of years. in terms of what's in our model.
Got it.
So we think that that is going to eventually segue to these other areas. And I generally agree with the other gentleman on many of those points.
Well, and again, it's probably why they were quick to backtrack on raising the cost of solar roofs that people had already signed contracts for, if this is such an important part of growth to them. Phil, I just want to quickly mention that midnight tonight is kind of an important moment for Tesla because, if you've got a perfect 100 score, I think this is when we start. Does this mean that we're going to have cars full self-driving out there in the public?
Well, it's the beta version. It's the latest beta version of the full self-driving technology, of the software. It'll be downloaded. They think about 1,000 people will get this software, which they say allows you to do. Now, they're very careful about this. They do not come out and say that it is level 4 autonomous vehicle driving. There's no vehicles out on the road that have that capability right now. Let's be clear about that. But they do believe that this is the next level of hands-free driving and autonomous driving, and that this is one more step towards level 4 autonomous vehicles out on.
I remember back in the 1980s, people, especially younger people, you don't realize how much the voice commands have improved. I mean, when they first came out in the late 80s, they sort of understood things you were saying if you talked perfectly, but they didn't really get it the way it needed to be gotten. And it took them, and it was always, well, in 10 years, it'll be there, okay? And I think my estimation is if we're on a 10-year course with full self-driving, and I think it might be, I think it's 10 years to level 5. I think it's probably 3 or 4 years, 3 to 5 years to level 4. But that level 5, that's awfully hard to get to because that's no input from the driver. You don't need a gas pedal. You don't need a steering wheel. It's and I don't even know if people would want that much given to the computer. I think people still like to get behind the wheel a little bit. I think people just like to get behind the wheel. They just want to know the car is going to stop if it's going to crash into something. That's the main thing. So I think level 4 would be good enough for most people. And maybe Tesla doesn't even want to reach. No, I think they want to reach level 5, but I'm not sure that's the best for them because once you reach level 5, you're saying we're perfect. And once you're perfect, you're open to lawsuits. Level 4, at least some human input, it makes them less liable to lawsuits. And maybe that's about the level of control people want to concede to the computer. And I think most people would be very happy with level 4.
The road. So we'll see what it's like. Look, the full self-driving story is one where if you're a Tesla bull, and I have friends who own Tesla who are like, can't wait for full self-driving. Mm-hmm. And when I bring up to them, have you seen it yet? No, but it's coming. So you have to take it with a grain of salt, but it is an important day for the launch of the latest beta version of that.
Yeah, and from what I understand, it's hard enough to get a perfect score that maybe only the very, very best, safest, most cautious drivers are going to be the ones with this technology, at least to start. Very interesting to see what happens. Phil LeBeau, Jed Dorsheimer, thank you guys both so much for being here to talk Tesla today.
If this interview was useful for you, please like and subscribe and go ahead and comment. I love to hear from my viewers and hear what is useful for you so that I can streamline things more to your interests. I'm not going to go into the stats today because this video has gotten long enough. Thanks a lot for listening, and I will see you in the future.